Hello, hello. This is the author's contribution of structural choice tutorial video of modeling. So what I did today was I decided to break up the different skills. We have 4 different skills that we're going to be assessed on for the district reading assessment. So that's why in the beginning of this class, I asked you to identify which skill you struggle with the most so that you could really kind of hone in on that skill and get this extra support, this extra level of support with me showing you modeling as well as walking you through it before you engage or embark on the practice test. So this specific video, I'm going to talk about author structural choices, which is structural analysis. So I'm going to model with a 2-minute quick video on YouTube that we're going to watch together right now in this video. I'm going to model for you where my mind, where my thinking would go as a reader or a viewer right now in terms of structural analysis. So before I even engage in the video, I want to know what I'm looking for, right? So I'm going to click over here and it gives me directions about structural analysis. So step 1, I need to select at least 2 structural choices that the author made when crafting the story by placing an X in the box next to the first and second structural choices I've identified. Support your identification with textual evidence. Okay, so I need to be able to decide on 2 different ways that the author or the filmmaker in this sense chose to structure the text. And I have to be able to support that I saw that structure with something that's going on in the film. My step 2 is to examine why text structure choices are important to the aesthetic impact, which means the beauty of the text, through being able to engage the reader more fully. So aesthetics are the way things look or sound or the way they appear to others of the text. Then determine which of the author's choices regarding text structure most contributed to the aesthetic impact, again, the beauty of the text. Be sure to provide textual evidence. Okay, so first things first, I have to be able to identify 2 structural choices that the author made, and then I need to decide which one helped make the piece more beautiful, right? Which one helped the most? All right, so let's go down, and I just want to view what I have to do before I engage with the text. All right, so I'm going to decide, I'm going to remind myself there's description, there's cause and effect, there's problem solution, there's sequence, which means how things go in order, and there's compare contrast. Okay. Then it asks me, why are text structure choices important to aesthetic impact? So the beauty of the text. So why is it important how the author structures it? Which text structure choice was most important to the text? Why? Okay, so I have to defend it. And what textual support? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to watch the video. So watch along with me, and I'm going to walk you through how I, as a viewer, as a reader, in engaging with this visual text, how I would go about thinking about this. Here we go. All right, so I already noticed there's a lack of description. All right, the bicycle boy. Okay, so there's some visual descriptions going on here, so that might be something I work with. I haven't seen any problems yet. This is ringing the bell, so I don't think he finds this to be a problem. This looks like it's his job. Alright, that could be cause and effect. Because he is being positive, the people around him are. The runner gave him a wave back. Okay. Now we've switched. I can hear the music switched a little bit. So the structure's a little different. So this might be compare contrast because I noticed that the sound was positive and now it's kind of more mellow. Okay. And this is just me thinking aloud. This doesn't mean that all these answers need to be written down. Okay, so he has his last feature I noticed. Okay, so this man, I see this man can't read because he appears to be blind. That's a problem, and the solution is that the delivery man is reading to him. Okay. All right. The world is full of nice people. If you can't find one, be one. Ooh, nice. Nice message. All right, I'm going to pause this just so I can go back over here to my structural analysis sheet. Okay, so step one again, remember, it was to identify two structural choices that the author made. The author could have made all five of them, but we're going to just decipher two of them right now. So I'm going to go with, let's see, description. Like I said, that was visual description, but that's hard for me to put into textual support because it was just visual and I would need to go back and watch it again to grab specifics. So I'm not going to go with that one. I'm going to go with cause and effect for this first one. And then I'm going to go with sequence. So how things happen. Because this story was told in a very chronological order, right? And that was right off the bat, we knew that was going to happen because we encountered the man waking up with the alarm clock, and then it progressed throughout his workday. All right, so let's do cause and effect first. So the author chose to use the structural element of cause and effect in this video. I noticed that due to the bicycle boy, that's how they refer to him in the title. So due to the bicycle boy's positivity, the effect was that others were positive around him as well. This is shown by the runner waving at the bicyclist, as well as the blind man. Sorry, I gotta scoot this out of your way so you can still see. Okay. As well as the blind man still engaging with the news, even though he needs someone to read the paper to him. All right, so I've identified how that's cause and effect. The cause was because of the bicyclist positivity, the effect was other people around him remained positive. Okay, and sequence. So the author chose to use sequence as a structural choice in the text because, this is evident because we start watching the video with the man waking up to his alarm clock, and we progress to his last newspaper delivery where he sits down to read to the blind man. Okay, so that was another structural choice, right? Sequencing. Step two, why are text structure choices important to aesthetic impact, the beauty? So the way the author chooses to structure the text is important because it not only helps the reader to understand what is going on, but it also sets the tone of the message overall. Why do I say that? Because I said in the beginning, right, when I was watching it, I was like, well, I don't really see a problem. Because if you saw a problem, that's a much different tone of the text or of the visual text that we were watching here. That's a much different tone than if you were just talking about sequence and how things happen in order, right? So it helps us to better understand because there's structure, right? So structure helps everything in life, even writing and reading. We all need structure in our lives. So the authors choose to structure it a certain way because they're trying to get something across. So now I need to decide which text structure choice was most important. I believe that the text structure, choice that was most important to this visual text was the sequencing. Why? I believe this was the most important because whenever you also use complete sentences to answer the questions, it identifies to whoever's reading this for you that you acknowledge that this is the question and that this is your answer. And it just makes it clearer, and it also helps you kind of stay organized. It's like making a to-do list for yourself and checking things off. So definitely use complete sentences. I believe this was the most important because it allowed the viewer to go through an entire day as opposed to see just a snapshot of the deliveries. Oops, sorry. Deliveries. Also, by sequencing the events, it gives the reader a sense of closure at the end that the final message is what we should take away with us. So what I mean by that is by having a sequence, it feels like that is truly the end. It's not like there's more to the story that we're missing. So by having that in the back of our minds, that final message of if you can't find somebody who's positive, then be the one who's positive. I think that's important that it was sequenced that way because then that's our final takeaway. That's our final thought as a viewer, and then that motivates us to be that change. What textual evidence or support do you have of how it most impacted the story overall? And that's where I'm going to put this. The evidence that I have that sequencing impacted the story overall, and remember, you could have chosen anything. As long as you can defend your answers, you're fine. Is that because it was sequenced from beginning to end, that message is really what stuck out in my mind. It seems like a call to action for the viewers to continue to be at the best version of themselves that they can be. Okay, right? So as long as you're defending these, and on the test, they're not going to have these boxes to fill in. So we do have to start practicing, and that's why we're practicing today, knowing what we have to answer, but the questions are there. And you always need to know that you have to read the questions carefully, read the directions carefully, but most importantly, always support your answer. Because even if you missed one of the questions in the actual reading of the directions itself, if you are supporting your answer, a lot of times you'll hit multiple questions that were already asked within the instructions. All right, so this was the modeling video about structural analysis. So the choices the author makes of how to structure their text. This was just a 2-minute video. Imagine what you can find in various texts that are short stories, which is what you're going to use today, or your independent reading book, which we're going to move on to a different day. Okay, so please, please, please do your best. I know structural analysis can be hard, but really you just have to identify what structural choice, that the author made, and then defend your answer after you say, this is the one that was the most important to making the text most successful overall and finding the true beauty or the aesthetic impact of the text. Hope this helps.